365, do you know what is the frequency of updates they announce whenever there is a new functionality? Maximum a week. If you are subscribed to the beta channel, every week your Office 365 will update. If any new functionality comes, you will be getting the access immediately. Everything, see, every feature may not be relevant for you, but it is required for you to know that there is a feature. Meaning, how many of you know there is a function called image introduced in Microsoft Excel? How many of you? Okay, very few. Image function. Only 3-4 people raised their hand. They introduced almost 5-6 months back. I'll tell you, because anyway they are setting up my system. I'm just doing a little time pass with question and answer. I'll tell you how this image function can be helpful. I was doing an audit for one software company. They are having all the names of employees. They do cost-wise analysis, cost versus the employee profit. But when there are two names with the same spelling, for them it is always a difficult. They always need to get their employee ID, unique employee ID. But small companies may not have the employee ID properly. They always used to ask me earlier, "Saran, is there any way how I am getting my employee name using the VLOOKUP function or employee salary using the VLOOKUP function? Can I also get the employee image using the VLOOKUP function?" Earlier I used to say no, because image is an object that comes above your Excel. That is not a value in the cell. But thanks to image function, which made image as a value in a cell. That means if you can write a function of image, you can get any of the URL and you will keep it over there. The image will be part of your cell. Once it is part of my cell, that's a value. I can use VLOOKUP function. If the image is in third column, I can ask using a VLOOKUP function, get the third column value, your image will automatically come. Now after introduction of image function, I have given them a small article and I have taken some 15-minute session. Software company, they are very happy. Now along with every master value of the client or employee, they are also having the image of the employee. So every time along with other fields, this image is one field they are carrying on. So my point I am trying to tell, at least understand that there is a feature. You need not to become a master. Once a situation comes, you will get to know that, okay, last session I heard about this feature, now let me go and start browsing it. And before me going further, I think it is said, before me going further, how many of you know there is a report filter pages in the pivot table? Only 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people maximum. What this report filter does? Okay, so you can go to the YouTube channel of my website, Excelism. A week back I made a video just to save the time. I am skipping this. If you have 2000 items and with the date column, if I want to quickly arrange all this data into year-wise, into different sheets. Let's say 2000 line items are there having 25 years data, 20 years data. Now I want to filter 2010 and I have to copy and paste it to the 2010 sheet. Then I have to filter for 2011, copy paste. Again filter for 2012, 13. It takes a lot of time. Then you go and start using the report filter pages. It is just click of button. It automatically creates 200, 300 sheets for you. So my point I am trying to tell you, because you are a faculty now, so I cannot call you as a participant. As a faculty, you always need to tell them what is important so that they can go and start browsing, because every point we cannot cover here. So without taking much of the time, I have already shared the Dropbox link with all of you. In fact, I appreciate the way how earlier speaker Karthik using the Google Drive. But unfortunately, I don't use the Google Drive. But for the last many years, I habituated using the Dropbox. Dropbox is also another cloud application where I can save my data. However, OneDrive is also there. Earlier in the break, I was having a discussion with other friend. What are the advantages of using the Dropbox? I'll tell you one advantage which I always find it more interesting. when my staff, because that's always happened with our staff, when they delete the folder, okay, because when it is a server, one fellow will delete the folder, then no one knows who deleted. Once they got to know that some file got missing, everyone started blaming. I did not touch that folder. Then who deleted? No one knows. But thanks to the Dropbox, it can store last 30 days deleted files. At once in my office, one folder mistakenly they deleted, Control X. They forget to paste somewhere because Control X is accidental. Then after a couple of days, they started saying, sir, some of the folders got missed. Then I can go back to the back end of the Dropbox and all folders are there, almost like 350 files are there inside. So, and for your information, Dropbox is 2 terabyte, you can use for 6 users and it is around 1200 rupees. 2 terabyte is a very huge space along with OneDrive. Sir, done sir? Okay. Okay, fine. Let me ask you one more question. When it comes to the GSTR 2A, last 12 months folders, files are there, Excel files in one particular folder. If I want to append all the 12 months files one below other into one single file, that's the B2B data, B2B sheet is there. I want to get all the B2B data one below other. What we do normally? Simple. We'll open first file, we'll go to B2B, we'll copy, we'll open a blank sheet, we'll paste. Then we'll open second file, copy paste, third file, and so on for 12 files. So that even article can do, right? So what a Power Query does is, Power Query is an ETL tool. Sir, otherwise I can record in the Zoom. Can you start? Okay, so let me start the mics. Sir, I already shared the folder. I request all of you please download it. It doesn't mean I'm going to touch upon every file which is there in the folder. Whatever the topics which I cover, if I miss anything, probably for you to practice some data is required. That's the reason I have given all the files. Generally my sessions may not have PPT. Just for the sake of introduction, I kept a couple of things in the PowerPoint presentation. I'll quickly tell you. I don't know what they downloaded. My system became slow. Yeah. Okay. So let me go a little further. Okay.
Sir, please tell them it's not in the Google Drive. It's been shared in the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Many are.
It's shared in the WhatsApp group. So. Yeah, I hope it is working. Okay, leave it. Okay, so this is just a very quick slide, just for all your information. If you want to be a good chartered accountant, want to use the technology, I feel these all are the things in a sequential order you can start learning. Microsoft Excel is the first one, because there must be a sequence for anyone to become the tech savvies. Suddenly, just because Sir is talking about Python, so you got a lot of boost up today, so you go and start Python, I'm 100% sure you may not really learn. Because if you want to understand what are the variables, if you want to understand what is the programming language, you must need to have the maturity. So if you ask me the sequence, Microsoft Excel, whether you like it or not, you should become expert. Then after, like Microsoft Excel is something which we use day in and day out. Then visualization is something very important these days, because especially I can see a lot of young people. And one more domain which is becoming very famous for the chartered accountants is organizations are expecting the dashboards. Meaning they don't want to look into the transaction data, but they want to see the data at the top level for the analysis. Excel also is capable to give the charts, but not that great. So Power BI Tableau, ClickView, second, third, fourth, these three are the visualization tools. So you can start taking any of the item. You need not to learn all three because architecture is same. Even if you learn one, remaining two you can automatically learn. But why I prefer Microsoft Power BI? Because it is having a lot of integration with the other office tools. As a CA, we use most of the Microsoft products. That's the reason you can start learning very easy. And if you want to use specifically for the audit, any of the tool, IDEA and ACL, IDEA is having a prior option, otherwise even demo, it supports 1000 records. It's having a great functionality with respect to the sampling, duplicate detection, Benford's law and so on. You can start looking into that. ACL demo is just for 30 days, probably you can try it, little costly application, but these two applications are meant for the audit. And if you want to go little extent to the next level, if you want to automate your own job, then probably you can start looking into R, Python and SAS. And the last two applications which I have kept is NIME and Alteryx. These two are the data modeling tools. NIME, have you heard any time? NIME? Our institute is having a certification course. Surprise, you are saying no. You might have received any number of SMS from the institute that 5-day certification course is there on the NIME. How many of you are from Big 4 here, are having any experience working with Big 4? Especially if you are in the Big 4, Alteryx is data modeling tool they use to make their audit simple. Alteryx is an automation tool, data science tool having ETL engine integrated. And the last but not the least, the most important, no-code and low-code apps. Have you heard about a word called citizen developer? Anyone? Citizen developer. Leave it. Have you heard about a word called developer? Who is developer? A person who can write a code to build an application. Yes? Citizen developer means these days everyone are developers. Every citizen can become a developer. You can be a developer, I can be a developer. But Sharan, I don't know how to write a code. That's the reason the concept of low code and no code apps are becoming very popular. Meaning, if you want to build an application, I'm doing one assignment, I'm just trying to tell you a couple of examples from my clients, not to just say that I'm great, I'm doing these type of assignments, but I'm only trying to tell you, you can also start looking into those type of assignments. You know app sheets, how many of you know app sheets? 1, 2, 3, again very few. Have you built any application in the app sheet? Excellent. Now you can make that as a commercial product to your client. Without writing a single line of code, you can build your mobile application for the client. At the back end, the data will get stored into either Google Sheet or a Microsoft Excel. You need not to bother about your data. Whenever user puts some information in the app, then you can come back to your Excel, that will automatically update. Otherwise, you can go back to the Microsoft Excel, the app will automatically update. That is App Sheet. That is a Google's product. If you want to use the Microsoft product, what is an alternative for the App Sheet? Power Apps. Excellent. Okay, so you can all start looking into these things. Let me come back to my topic. But before again going into my topic very quickly, let me just give you the topics which I thought I should cover, but I doubt based on the time. But no problem, whatever I can cover, I'll cover. If at all anything miss, I can give the links because I already kept most of the information in the YouTube. I'll give the link so that you can go and start watching. What is the ETL? ETL is becoming very famous these days. I surprised only 5-6 people raised their hand when I asked a question, how many of you know Power Query? What is ETL? Extract, transform, load. Excellent. These days, if you want to do an audit, what you are doing? Is the data exactly ready as per your requirement? No. We take the data from the client. It is nothing but an extracting the data. You will do a lot of cleanup activity. You do the filtering, you do sorting, you arrange in a form which is required for you. That is nothing but the transformation we do. Finally, we use the data for our analysis or maybe for preparation of the financials. extract the data from any source, that source can be anything, transform the data, the extract the data into any shape. Transforming in the sense, as an example, I want to take the bank statement. Can I directly use the bank statement and start analyzing the data? No. Bank statement is having a lot of junk data. On the top, headers are there, at the bottom some of the totals are there, which are not required for me. So I have to delete this data so that I can prepare in a proper structured format. That is nothing but the transformation. T is transform. Transform the extracted data into whatever the shape you are looking for. The finally, load. Once you transform, where you will load? Wherever you are using the Power Query. That means Power Query can be used in more than one application. If it is Excel, it is already inbuilt. If it is Power BI, it is already inbuilt. If you are having a SQL service management, it is already inbuilt. If you are using data flow, it is already inbuilt. So, ETL engines are nothing but Power Query, Alteryx 9. Let us concentrate more Power Query because it is free, already there in your systems. If you ask me suddenly, Sharan, can you show me where is the Power Query? Because 90% of the people did not raise their hand. So if you look into this, this is the Power Query. Maybe if I can just highlight this. If you have this tab, Get and Transform Data, this is nothing but your Power Query, ETL engine in your Microsoft Excel. It is having an option to get, because you are going to get the data from the source. You are going to transform the data, and finally you are going to load the data back into your Microsoft Excel. Now let me come back. What is Power Query? Is this a separate add-in? No, it's not a separate add-in. It is there from 2016 by default in your Microsoft Excel, where I already told you in the data tab, the first group, get and transform data. If you ask me, Sharan, I'm using 2010 version, or I'm using 2013, can I get the Power Query? Yes. You go to the Microsoft website, that is available as an add-in, you download it. But if you are having 2010 or 13 Microsoft Power Query add-in, you cannot use the latest functionality introduced in the Power Query. That is an isolated add-in. They stopped supporting that add-in. So my humble suggestion, have a latest version, right? Now, let's go a little further. As I mentioned, in the Power Query, from where I can get the data? You can get the data from Microsoft Excel, text file, XML files. Yesterday our sir was mentioning about JSON files. You can even get the data from PDF, introduced almost 1.5 years back. You can even get the data from the files in the folder. You can even connect to any SQL server. If you have little SQL knowledge, if you are doing an audit of any company where they are having an SAP, I'm sure SAP background is a structured query language. Without you logging into the SAP, downloading the files, doing an audit, you can ask for a view access to their tables, limited tables, whatever required for you. You can connect that SQL tables to your Microsoft Excel by giving the password here. You can see all the tables. So whenever in the real time they upload the data in the SAP, that means if they post an entry, the same thing will get reflected in the Microsoft Excel. Exactly the same what yesterday the speaker has shown you. In the tally, if you put some entry, how that is automatically updating in the Microsoft Excel, that can be anything with respect to the any database, including SQL. Even Azure, even Power BI, if you are already having Power BI, you can directly connect here. Other sources, that includes web. Let's say for your audit, some data which is available in the website may be relevant. You need not every time copy paste. The problem of copy pasting the web data is what? It's not dynamic. Till the time you copy paste whatever the data it takes. After that, if you want to take the updated data, then it's difficult. Example, any stock market data, for foreign exchange, any currency rates, that is updated data. So if you want that, you can try to connect here. ODBC, if you want to connect your tally, you can go through ODBC. The very important thing is, very recently they introduced, I don't know how many of you tried this, even you can get the data from the picture. Meaning, if the client is giving me the data on the paper, let's say printout format, generally we give the sheet and give it to our articles, please enter. Okay, so instead you can take a snap of it, put on your desktop, read the data from the picture. I'm sure 85 to 90% of accuracy it can read if your image is properly visible. Okay. Now, without taking much of the time, let's go back. This is with respect to the extract. When it comes to the transform can be done in two ways. One, there are many options. I can simply go to the data. If you are using Power Query for the first time, let me launch the Power Query editor. In Microsoft Excel, how many windows I can open? Excel itself is one window. And what are the cases where I can get one more window? Anyone? In case of VBA, if you want to write any program, we'll go to the developer, we'll click Visual Basic, a new window will get open. What are the cases? Power Query. Whenever I go to the data, whenever I launch the Power Query editor, a new window will get open again. This is another window. What other cases? In the Power Pivot, whenever you click Power Pivot and manage, another new one more window will get open. So that's the reason I don't always consider Excel as a separate item. Excel is one ocean, Power Query itself is another ocean. If you want to become the master of Power Pivot, another ocean, VBA is a different thing. Okay, all four are different. But you need to know the basics of Excel, then start learning the basics of Power Query, then slowly jump into the Power Pivot, then finally start learning the VBA. Once you have an intermediate level of VBA knowledge, my humble suggestion, then you go into any other programming language like Python. Because even if you jump into the Python, because seeing, you may swim in the swimming pool at your apartment, because they know what is the height and everything properly. Just because you can swim at your apartment, you cannot jump into the river. Okay, that is entirely different. So you need to know the sequence of learning. Now that's fine. So let's come back here. Whenever it comes to the transformation in the Power Query, the transformation is nothing but one function. Power Query is a functional language. What is the meaning of it? Let's say if I want to sort something. Whenever you sort, Power Query automatically writes a one small function at the back end. That is a M function we call. Saran, can we learn all the M functions? There are 700 M functions are there. It is very difficult to learn every function. But than anything else, what is important if you want to become the master of Power Query, you must need to know your requirement clear. Once you know the objective of the work, then you can make it into different pieces. Then each piece, what is a transformation function, you can easily search. We'll go into that. Okay, so let me close this. Now let us take some data and start working with respect to the Power Query. I'm just opening a blank Excel file. I'll take a very small example so that you can understand what is the beauty of Power Query. I'll take some full names here. This example will take 5 minutes time, but will give you the strength for you to understand the entire concept. Okay, very quickly I'll take a couple of names, including my name, Sharan Kumar. I'll take Geeta ma'am, don't mind, Geeta A. Then I'll take some other name, okay, Srinivas Bitragunta. I can take different names, then Vishwa Babu. Finally, DC Jain, or else, I hope the spelling is correct. There are a couple of names. I'll tell you the meaning of transformation with one example you will understand. If it is Microsoft Excel, if I want to extract the first word, then what I need to do?
Just type the first word.
I have to write the bigger formula. Oh, okay, you are saying Saran, you can type Saran. Automatically it understood that you are trying to extract the next word. This is nothing but a flash fill. Use Control plus E. Okay, it's not understanding. So Geeta, when I start taking Srinivas, not sure. Okay, but otherwise flash fill absolutely work. But the problem with the flash fill is it is till that point whatever the data it takes. After that, if I change the original data, will my final output changes? No. That's the reason we take formulas. Equal to left function, then comma, then find some space. Okay, then this -1. I know many may not understand who are not familiar with Excel. If you change here, let's say I'll just put it Harshavardhan, automatically Harsha will come. If I want to have a last name or second word, I need to write much bigger formula, including right function, take this, then I have to count how many number of characters, then find the space, then you remove, till that point, finally you will get the value. Very difficult, right? Now keep the data as it is. Now I'll copy this data, I'll paste here. Concentrate everyone for next 5 minutes. Now this is my source to my Power Query. I'll go to the data, I will use this source. My source can be this time other source from a table. Let me click it. If you want to use the same workbook data, it should be either table or a defined name. It can only recognize two things. One is a table or the defined name, two objects. That's the reason it is automatically trying to convert this range into the table. What is an advantage converting anything into the table? Can anyone tell? What is the advantage converting any range into the table? Define the names automatically create, meaning you can refer the table name, automatically table name will create, then table name open bracket column name, automatically the column name will be selected, then table name, then headers, automatically headers will be created. Otherwise very difficult for us to define. So along with the table, automatically defined names will come. Another advantage of using the table, you can filter the data very easily. You can start using the slicer. If you use the pivot table, slicer is something which will come in a user interface format with buttons. You can click the button, your pivot table will automatically change. Even for the table, it is exactly the same. Okay, now let me click OK. Now what it is taking my data into my Power Query. Now my Power Query, let me just show you what is there in the Power Query. This is like your Microsoft Excel user interface. Left side you will find all the queries. Right side you will find all the properties that includes the Power Query name. For this I want to just give a name as a sample. So let me just start giving the sample. And the best part of Power Query, it will create all the steps here. And you can come back and you can change any of the steps later. Because it is recording all the steps, later if you change the source, it does all the steps and finally give you the result. Now this is the place where your data will come. Now, okay, let me go a little down. I have not done anything. I have just taken my data here and it has created one step called source. For that step it has written a function. That's what I told you. Power Query is a functional based language. Every transformation it creates a function. It is having almost 700 plus functions. That means 700 different transformations you can do independently. But if you can combine 2-3 transformations together, you can build amazing things. Okay. Now this is the function it has written. Excel.current workbook. It doesn't have any arguments. It is exactly like Microsoft Excel functions. In that you please take the name called table 1, then take the content. Now I want to do some transformation. What is a transformation? I want to split the columns. Now you can go to the home tab, you can go to split column. I want to split based on the delimiter. This is exactly like a text to column in Microsoft Excel. Click this, it is automatically recognizing that. Sharon, I found the space. Do you want to delimit based on a space? And not only at each occurrence, many a times, when you take the tally data, the voucher number or some word, some last word is there at the end. If that is the case, if you want to only get the last occurrence, rightmost to delimiter. Or if you want to split based on leftmost to delimiter. In this case, at each occurrence, I can just click OK, automatically it split. Once it split, it automatically written a function on the top. You need not to bother about what function it has taken. First name, and this is nothing but the last name. Now what other transformation I can do? I can sort this data A to Z. Now Geeta came first, then Vishwa, then Srinivas, Dungar, and I think I sorted this data. Let me select this data and sort A to Z. Now, one second. This is, I'll just remove that step. Now let's come back here. I want to sort this particular column A to Z. Now you automatically get sorted into A to Z. Now I want to give some serial number. So you have to add a column. Go to the add. I want to add an index number. Either you can give the index number from 0 or 1. Let me give 1. That automatically give as a last item. Then you can move this sheet as a first item. See how many steps I have done? Every step you can see here. If you observe carefully, all the steps are nothing but which I performed. First one is nothing but the source which I have directly, first one is nothing but the source which I have directly taken. Second one is nothing but my split column. I have split the column into 2 items. Third one is it has automatically identified what is the type of the column. Fourth one is I renamed the columns. Fifth one is I sorted the column. Sixth one is I added the index. Seventh one is I reordered the column. If you want to become a good automation expert, you should, first of all, if you get any assignment, make it into